Hi everyone, this is Frank Rotz, and welcome back to my channel. Today is the second part of bass, largemouth bass rigging in this month-long series of 2 videos per week for a month. And I'm going to talk about something that I had published in an article in February's Midwest Outdoors, which is spinning reel spools. Spinning reel spools come in different designs and sizes, and the reason why I wanted to do a video is because it's just something that, as I've talked about with people when I'm selling a reel, or even to other people who are applying it for different types of rigging techniques for largemouth, it always dawns on them that they never really give it serious consideration. You don't need to really consider them maybe as important as they were in the past, because the designs have gotten better. They tangle far less, they cast farther overall. But there's some real key points on different sizes that I want to reiterate to you that I think are really important. So I'll get started with kind of a specialty spool, and I'll also tie this in with what kind of rods you put them on and the kind of gear ratios that they usually accommodate them with. Now, if you want to learn more about gear ratios, I have some prior gear ratio I have a prior gear ratio spinning and casting video earlier on if you want to learn the nuts and bolts of gear ratios. Okay, so I'll get started with, this is called an Arbor design, and this is on a Pflueger Arbor. An Arbor design has a pretty big circumference here, and that hallmarks your Arbor. Along with it's quite narrow in through here. There's some myths about these designs, and the first and most important is that people say they cast the farthest. They have good castability off the lip of the spool, but as you can see back here, that's all friction, so they don't cast farther. The advantages to the Arbor are they're a small frame reel, so they're relatively light. They have a real low gear ratio, which in today's faster fishing for bass tends to get lost. If you're looking for something that's really, really slow, maybe for early, late in the year, an Arbor could be a good choice. So clear water, shallower water, colder water would probably be where the Arbor design would excel. But overall, I haven't really experimented with mine much. That would be my only recommendation for the Arbor designs. So the second spool design I'm going to cover, this is off a Daiwa reel, a Capricorn, and it's an older reel, but the spool designs are pretty much the same. This is a 1500 size, so I'll label these specifications for a 1500 or a 2000. The most popular size for a 1500 or a 2000 spinning reel, you can tell with that small circumference on the reel, doesn't hold a tremendous amount of line, would be your drop shot technique. If you want because usually for drop shotting you want that light reel, you know, it's more of a vertical presentation. You don't need something that's going to hold a lot of line, and one of these size spools, 1500, is going to be fine. And also when you're drop shotting, you use a lower gear ratio, and these tend to be lower gear ratios even though they're higher now because they're building higher gear ratios for them. What I use mine for is smaller jig presentations with plastics like twister tails, and I use them for crankbaits when I'm shore fishing or wade fishing, because they have a lower gear ratio, and they bump the bottom of the rattling bait hits the bottom really well with them, makes good contact. I can keep it in the strike zone where I want it to be. The only real downside is they don't quite cast as far, and they don't pick up line quickly if you need to. But you know, for a 6-foot medium light, up to like a 6.5, they are, or a 7-foot even, I put them on a 7-foot, they're a great choice for that. Light line, usually clear water, if you want to impart some subtle motions, bait motions with a reel that doesn't pick up a lot of line, go with a 1500 or a 2000. So your next size up is going to be what they would call a 2500 series. So this is a Daiwa Anden. Again, it's an older Daiwa. You see me showcase these reels before, but we're just talking about general size on these. So this is the best all-around size in terms of you've got a good wide circumference on the reel. They hold quite a bit of line. and they cast far, they pick up line good. They usually come in gear ratios from like 5/6 to 1 to 6/2 to 1. Usually reeling in about 27 inches of line per turn, maybe 33 on the high end, so, or 30 in the middle, so you can find one that can suit what you need. I rig them on everything from 6-foot medium to 7-foot. They're your most versatile, you know, no matter where you're at in the country fishing for bass. You can run them on a drop shot rod, a longer drop shot rod. I like to use mine like for, you know, little deeper water, bottom contact crankbaits, soft plastics, inline spinners. I'm throwing more techniques year-round with what is called a 2500 size reel. And also on the Daiwas, I don't know if they still have it in the Curtis catalog, it's the ABS spool design. So they tend to hold a little bit more line up front, and you get a little bit more distance with them. So I've been very satisfied with the 2500 series throughout the years. Even everything from stitching, I've had them on stitching reels, on stitching outfits, skip casting, underhand, just a lot of things you can do with these. So these are highly recommended, especially if you don't really know what you want to start with. A 2500 series is great. So in between the 2500 and this size, which is a Pflueger Supreme XT, this is a 40 size. This is pretty big. So most companies don't make a 3500 anymore. So in between this 2500 and this 40 would be a 3000. Now a 3000 is going to be more like this size, and it's going to hold a little bit more line. I don't even own any because I just stick to the 2500s. But if you want something that's going to hold a little bit more line and pick up more line, but you don't want anything this big, then go with the 25. Back to the 40. The 40 has a real broad circumference. Cast really good on long rods. If you want a salmon rod, a steelhead rod, even though we're talking bass rigging, what I use them for bass rigging is 7-foot rods, soft plastics. Line flows very easily off. It picks a lot of line up. Summertime when the vegetation's up, I can wacky worm this. The reason why I probably catch more fish wacky worming than most people I come into contact with is because of this reel choice right here. Highly recommended when the vegetation's up with that long rod. Really happy with mine. If I was going to make a current recommendation on a reel that has a bigger spool like that I'm not showcasing, the Daiwa Fuego for 109, I believe, in the bigger size, is a fantastic option for the dollar, or the higher dollar Tatula, which I believe is a 189, but the Fuego for 109 is fantastic. Or the Pflueger Supreme comes in a 40 and is 99, or the President XT. These would all have about the same size. President XT is 79, or the President is 59. If you want that bigger spool, cast far, more line pickup, and you can throw lighter stuff on these because of it handles lighter stuff well. Just really happy. 7-foot rod is usually what I'd recommend that on, or maybe a 6.5 with a full grip. So that covers spool designs pretty much. You've got your Arbor, it's a specialty. You've got your 1500 or a 2000, which is for your lighter stuff. You've got your 2500 or your 3000, which is your overall. And you've got your 40 size, which is for deeper water. Bass fishing being shallow, I probably would start running these in at least depths of 8 feet, usually. If you're fishing them shallow and you have a lot of line come out, you can wind up with a lot of slack line on the surface that you're constantly reeling in with. This is good for hitting deep pockets, though, in shallow areas. So there's quite a bit there with spinning reel spool designs that most people don't consider, and I'm glad that Midwest Outdoors published that article. I have gotten some really good feedback in person about it. Somebody said, hey, that's something no one would ever think about, and just really glad that it took a while to do. It took several hours to hit it on the mark with what I wanted to do. So for largemouth bass and even smallmouth, if you have any questions about either one of those, maybe you have a technique or a question, feel free to reply. I do answer any and all questions as quickly as I can. really looking forward to doing that third rigging video. I'm kind of coming up with ideas as the season progresses and I talk to folks. And if maybe you want to see a rigging video, feel free to leave a reply and say, you know, maybe do something on this, something that can pique my interest, or maybe something that I haven't looked at in a long time. And I really do appreciate you watching. I've had some new subscribers on board, 3 or 4 the past 3 or 4 days. Thank you for coming on. Lots of things, if you're newer to the channel, that are going to be happening, talking about, there's going to be boat fishing, kayak fishing, wade fishing, shore fishing. I'd like to do some things that haven't been touched upon in the past, do better videos on subjects I really started out kind of not so strong on to begin with. And just thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new, if you like this kind of stuff, if you're looking at a channel that's going to have some growth. Have been also talking to Derek Brownwell about pouring those soft stick baits. Really looking forward to that, to getting that online business off the ground, and the thumbs up is also appreciated. Now, the real reason why I've been doing 2 rigging videos a week is I'm a pretty busy guy, selling fishing tackle, writing, and working. The reason why I'm doing 2 is my father actually accumulated quite a few medical bills the past few months, and I did set up a GoFundMe page. YouTube won't let me post a link on the screen. The link is below. 2 videos per week's a lot, and I enjoy doing them, but if there's any way that you could leave a small donation on the GoFundMe page that the link is posted below on, for putting in a little extra work. Again, you know, the medical bills are kind of expensive. I really would appreciate that, and thanks again for everything that you do. I hope this proved informative. Take care, everyone, and looking forward to that bass fishing season and the weather warming up, which doesn't look like it's going to be any time immediately, but we'll be here soon enough. Take care, everyone, and thank you for stopping by.